What to do with Notre Dame? It's simple, it's plain to see for all of us. However, there is nobody in place, there is no commissioner, there is no governing body to make it happen. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, breaking down the game we all love each and every day with you, best discussion, debate, and analysis. The 12-team college football playoff format announced through 2025, so for the next two seasons, and then we received the format and model from 2026 through 2031. Check out the live stream that we posted when the news was first released. We are focusing here on the Notre Dame angle of the 2026 through 31 contract and where Notre Dame plays into all of this. And what really needs to be done is that Notre Dame should be in a conference. That's all there is to it. I don't blame Notre Dame, so Notre Dame fans, don't get me wrong here. Notre Dame is not doing anything wrong. Really, nobody's doing anything, in a sense, blatantly wrong. The issue here is that you've got conference commissioners who are hired by their conferences to act in the best interest of that particular conference. It's not the NFL where the commissioner is acting in the best interest of the entire organization, the entire league. And all the owners actually understand, even though they're trying to make money for themselves and position themselves in the best place, they still understand we're all working together for a common goal, and that is the success of the NFL. That's not happening in college football. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, working for the Big Ten. Greg Sankey, working for the SEC. Brett Yormark, on down the line. All the conference commissioners looking out for themselves, their conferences. That's what they're paid to do. Let's not fault them. Notre Dame, looking out for itself, as it should. However, similar to the 5-year-old that I see throwing a fit in the middle of Walmart, I don't blame the 5-year-old. I blame the grown-ups. Blame the people in charge. Well, unfortunately, there's no one person or governing body, group of individuals, a governing body in charge. Everybody's in charge of their own slice, and they're all trying to work together. Again, check out the live stream where we address the revenue distribution, what is wrong about that, but obviously the SEC and the Big Ten are in control. But we're focused on Notre Dame right here. First issue I have is that Notre Dame has a spot at the table. Not that they shouldn't be represented, not that they shouldn't be able to factor into decisions, but 9 conference commissioners now with the Pac-12 and its demise. So we've got 9 conference commissioners, 4 in the power structure, and then the group of 5. And we've got Notre Dame and its athletic director, Jack Swarbrick. He has one position, Notre Dame, one position at the table with 9 other commissioners. Therefore, Notre Dame gets 1/10 of the time to talk, to present its side, to debate, to do whatever's done. All of that. I'm not saying that they have 1/10 of the power of the sport, but I'm saying that in that room where the decisions are made, Notre Dame has 1/10 representation. There are 16 teams in the SEC. There are 14 teams in the ACC, 16 Big 12, 18 in the Big Ten. Consider the major brands we're talking about: Texas, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, and others. They have the representation of one commissioner, Greg Sankey, representing 16 schools. Now, Greg Sankey is no fool, even though he did post that one of his argument points was that the SEC has represented the playoff teams and the playoff seedings and entries 40% of the time for 10 years. Over the 14 playoff from 2014 through 2023, there's 4 spots per year, 10 years, that's 40 spots. 40% would be 16. Sorry, Mr. Sankey, you're a great commissioner, but let's tighten up on the math there. Not 40%. 12 out of 40 is 30%. Still, that was one of his major claims in regards to distribution, should be weighted toward the SEC. But that just doesn't make any sense when major brands are only represented a fraction of what Notre Dame is represented. Sound familiar? The ACC plays football with Notre Dame for 5 or 6 games per year. Notre Dame, I get sick of seeing graphics, lists, charts that include Notre Dame with the ACC. In football, Notre Dame belongs to the ACC, as best I understand, in every other sport. And so if Notre Dame was not present, let's say in field hockey, they didn't have a field hockey team, would that be a big deal? Of course not. But we're talking about football, the revenue generator, the most popular sport by far. It's not close. I know we're in the middle of March Madness, and I know that the ACC was founded on basketball, but even in the ACC, a basketball conference, most of their revenue comes from football. And Notre Dame is not in the ACC in football. I don't care how anyone misconstrues this in any way. They're not in the standings. They cannot compete for a championship, but they still have the same voting status as every other league member in the ACC, despite not participating in football. So this is something similar to that. Is that Notre Dame's fault? Heck no. If I'm Notre Dame, give me a seat at the table. If you're willing to do that, absolutely, I'll take it. There was a clause that was included in the articles that were released following the college football playoff release from 2026 through 31. Quote, Notre Dame will have protections that will survive regardless of the ultimate format, end quote. I don't necessarily know what that means. I can conjecture in a few different directions. Number one, it's going to be restructured because there is strong push from the Big Ten in particular, probably the SEC as well, because it benefits them to go to 14 teams in 2026. So this seems to be a protection to say, even though we may change some things, there could be more realignment. Notre Dame will have the same place, will be offered the same opportunity that it currently is. Their position is not going to change. It's protected. That is one way to look at it. That's probably the most likely one. I hope that it's not a guarantee of something close to breaking a tie. So, for example, we have run through the college football seasons from 2014 through 2023 and what that would look like in a 12 or 14 team model. There are going to be log jams at 9-3, 10-3. Will Notre Dame be given preference? I don't believe that's what that means. I think it just means that if the format changes, the model changes, the expansion, Notre Dame is going to continue to maintain its position that it's been given in this model. Let's hope so. ACC and Big 12 schools will earn individually $12 to $13 million under this new agreement starting in 2026. Notre Dame is right there with them at $12 to $13 million. Are they worth it? Absolutely, they're worth it. In comparison to the average team in the Big 12 or the ACC, absolutely. They're way beyond the mid-tier or even the upper tier of those conferences. I would think that Notre Dame would be the best draw of any team in the ACC or the Big 12. I think that they would be number one. There could be an argument for Florida State, maybe if Miami regains its swag from days gone by, and Clemson. But I think it's Notre Dame. So I get that. However, another clause that was listed here in the various articles released, quote, sources told ESPN there will be a financial incentive for any independent. Okay, so I understand that for true independence. You know who's left out in the cold here, and I don't fault them, nor do I excuse them. I don't know what their opportunity was to join a conference, but Army could be in a conference. UConn could probably find its way in a conference. Those are the only two independents left beyond Notre Dame. This is not 1990, where South Carolina, Florida State, Miami, Maryland, Penn State, Syracuse, Boston College, Louisville, I could keep going, were independents. A third of the sport were independents. We're down to Notre Dame. We're down to Notre Dame. Yes, I understand. UConn and Army are technically independents with UMass going to the MAC this season. It's Notre Dame. That's all that matters. When the clause states any independent, well, they're talking about Notre Dame. So there should be financial incentive if Army or UConn could possibly make a playoff. if they go undefeated and just by happenstance like Cincinnati years ago scheduled a couple really good Power Fives and eke into a playoff, it's never going to happen. But obviously they should be paid for that, because elsewhere or otherwise they're going to be shut out of any playoff money. At UConn and Army, think about that. They don't even get the smidgen that the group of five gets. However, why does Notre Dame get an incentive to make the playoff? Why are they paid additional money if they make the playoff? The Big Ten gets a cut, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC. If their schools make the playoff, do they get additional cut? No, they don't. They get the flat rate. Indiana gets the same as Ohio State. Wake Forest gets the same as Clemson, as I understand it. Now, those individual conferences can do whatever they want with their money, and as long as Florida State sticks around the ACC has stated and confirmed during this battle, before it got to the point that it has with all the lawsuits now, that it will have unequal playoff distribution to incentivize and to reward those teams that make the playoff within the conference. But that's up to the conference to decide what it's going to do with its playoff share. But why would Notre Dame? So first of all, Notre Dame gets a cut even if they don't make the playoff. Notre Dame fields 3 consecutive 3-9 teams, and they get a $12 million cut for not making the playoff and fielding 3-win teams. Okay, this season, if Marcus Freeman does a 2016 Brian Kelly and Notre Dame goes 3-9, they're going to get this cut. I think it was technically 4-8. Don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't know what the incentive is. An extra $5 million, $8 million, $10 million. It's not been released. Again, it comes down to Notre Dame should be in a conference. They should be in the Big Ten. We've addressed that elsewhere, and we'll continue to do so. No commissioner in college football, no governing body. NIL is run amok, the transfer portal, even the recruiting season and calendar, and now the college football playoff. They've done a decent job with formulating all of this. It does make sense. I know not all of you agree with buys, nor do I. Don't like the buys. And again, that's another conversation for another time, that I've explained why buys don't work in college football. But looking at Notre Dame, join a conference. But then again, Notre Dame, do what's best for you. Continue to do that like the rest of us as Americans. Do what is best for you and yours. And hopefully one day we will have a meeting of the minds among the 4 major conferences, or at that point it might be 3, or at that point it might be 2, to say we need a college football commissioner, or at least a governing body. Probably a balance of power would be good between a commissioner and a governing body to legislate the sport. Your thoughts down below about Notre Dame, about the playoff, about the structure of college football and what can be done, because I certainly have my thoughts, and they are coming as well, right here at the Voice of College Football.